35-yard line.
Conduct. Defense number 98. Number 98, defense.
Jalen Carter just got ejected before the game even really started for spitting on Dak Prescott. Yeah, you heard that right. Eagles, Cowboys, opening kickoff. No plays, no tackles, no touchdowns. Just a spit, a flag, and a star defender walking off the field. But here's the thing. There's way more to this story than you've heard, because some fans swear Dak started it, some say Carter snapped after trash talk, and there are even whispers about bad blood going back before this game. Let's break down exactly what went down, why it exploded so fast, and the wild fallout that could shake up this entire season. Here are the basics. This is not opinion. This is what's confirmed. Right after the opening kickoff in Philadelphia, there's a brief stoppage. Dak and Carter end up facing each other, words are exchanged, and Carter spits on Dak's jersey. An official sees it, the flag comes out, and Carter is ejected for a non-football act before he plays a single snap. You can see Dak point toward the official, and you can hear the crowd swing from confusion to outrage as Carter walks off, helmet tucked low. The matchup itself? Cowboys-Eagles to open the season, biggest rivalry vibes you can imagine. The Eagles go on to win by a tight margin, 24-20, but honestly, the final score felt like a subplot. The moment everyone's arguing about is that spit, those first 6 seconds, and what it means. If you think that's the whole story, hold up, because the angles that dropped online later made everything messier, not cleaner. Let's walk through this beat by beat the way you would if you were editing the broadcast yourself. Kickoff flies. There's a brief delay. Players are milling, jawing, that normal pre-snap energy you can feel at home. Dak and Carter drift into each other's orbit. From one sideline angle, you see Dak turn his head and a quick spray leaves his mouth. Some say it's a typical clear the mouth guard moment. Others think it's pointed. Carter clearly sees something. They talk. The body language changes. Carter leans slightly forward. Then he spits on Dak. It's not a maybe.
Actions has disqualified him from the game.
Whoa.
15-yard penalty.
Whoa.
Automatic. First down.
So Jalen Carter, the focus and the star for the Cowboys, for the Eagles on the front line, out for the game before a snap. Here he goes. He walks there in front of Dak Prescott. Did he spit? Did he spit on him?
It's obvious enough that an official nails it on the spot. 15-yard penalty, disqualification, end of story, at least for the moment. Now, if you're an Eagles fan, your heart drops. You just lost one of the most disruptive interior players in football over something that had nothing to do with football. If you're a Cowboys fan, you're thinking, good, protect the quarterback. That's the line. If you're just an NFL fan, you're thinking, this is the opening to a season. We're starting with a spit and an ejection. But then, new video starts hitting timelines and the entire internet flips the table. Clips start circulating. One shows Dak's head turn and a misty spray before Carter's spit. Another looks more innocent, like Dak was just clearing his mouthpiece. That split-screen contrast becomes the unending debate. Intent. Did Dak spit at Carter, or did he spit near Carter? Was Carter reacting to disrespect, or did he misread it and escalate? And if Dak did spit first, even accidentally, does that change how we judge Carter's response? Here's what the principals actually said later. Dak called the ejection unfortunate and emphasized he wasn't trying to spit on Carter. Carter apologized post-game, took blame, and said it won't happen again. The ref on the field used a phrase you almost never hear outside of a rules seminar, non-football act. The key wording that turns an ugly moment into an automatic walk to the tunnel. That's your foundation. Action, penalty, ejection, apology.
Did. There you go. There you go. And the official was right there to throw the flag. Brian Neal, the umpire, who was keeping an eye on that confrontation. No idea, obviously, what was said. But Jalen Carter out of this game before a snap. Chris, that's, first of all, I got no idea what he's thinking. And second, this is massive in terms of the game.
I got to tell you, he's the best player they have on their defense. And about 80% of what we were going to talk about on this broadcast, because to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, you have to double team Jalen Carter. If you don't get your offense started. Now you take off that one player on the defense that you had to focus your attention on, and it's almost like Micah Parsons now gone from the Cowboys, same impact.
Denial of intent, clean on paper, messy everywhere else. Now let's talk about the part you clicked for, the why, because facts end where human emotions begin, and that's where rumors pour in. Quick note for everyone listening, I'm about to share what's floating around in DMs, on team-adjacent group chats, and across fan forums. This is not confirmed reporting. Consider it the soundtrack of a rivalry when emotions run hot. Word around some circles is that there was an awkward moment at a small off-season charity mixer where Dak teased Carter about money and accolades. Get your bag first, then talk. Did he actually say those words? No one credible has put it on the record, but that story keeps popping up in comment threads and in a couple of well-known fan podcasts. The idea is that Carter didn't forget. Is that provable? Not right now. But it's the kind of locker room slight that can simmer. Another thread claims the jawing before kickoff was more pointed than usual. The Eagles were unveiling their championship banner energy. Dallas was there to spoil it. Supposedly, a Cowboys player, some say Dak, some say a lineman, told Carter he was overrated without the edge help around him. Again, no verified mic'd-up audio backs this, but the narrative explains the quick fuse. This one's simple. Certain fans believe Dak's pre-spit spray was intentional. The counter-argument is obvious. Players spit constantly on the field, especially between plays. If you've ever stood on a sideline, you know it's a thing, but intent is the whole difference between gross and disrespect. In slow-mo, everything looks deliberate. In real time, it may have been nothing. The truth is probably boring. Dak clears his mouth, Carter sees it, feels disrespected, and acts. This is the spiciest and therefore the least reliable. People are whispering about a mutual off-field connection. Someone close to both, creating tension earlier in the summer. Zero proof. But the rumor resonates because it gives a personal backbone to what otherwise seems like an overreaction. So why share these? Because they're shaping the debate online. You can hate the rumor mill, but you can't deny it drives the comments, the clicks, and yes, sometimes even how teams respond publicly. Just remember, at this point, these are narrative frames, not facts. Now, set the rumors aside for a minute because there's a cold football reality we have to face. How losing Carter immediately changed the game on the field. If you've watched the Eagles' defense the last 2 seasons, you know their interior push is the engine. Carter collapses pockets, ruins run fits, and forces offenses into ugly third downs. Take that away before snap one, and you ask Philly's edges and backers to win solo over and over. Dallas felt that window open. Early on, you saw Dak scan a bit longer, step up a bit cleaner. The Cowboys put points on the board fast, then got inconsistent. Philly's offense, to its credit, steadied the ship. Jalen Hurts kept drives alive with his legs, and the Eagles found just enough balance to claw back and then hang on. Defensively, Philly had to patchwork the middle. They rotated bodies, shifted some alignments, and relied on quick pressure from the edges to disrupt timing. It wasn't pretty. The penalties piled up. The broadcast kept circling the ejection because it was the shadow over every snap. Every time Dallas converted, you could almost hear the thought, would that throw have been there if 88 was being walked back into Dak's lap? For Dallas, the missed chances late are going to sting. And you had the defense give you opportunities, 3 straight punts in crunch time, and the offense couldn't finish. Rivalry games are coin flips, self-inflicted wounds. You just decide them. If you're Mike McCarthy, you're circling a handful of plays on the iPad and telling your guys, these 5 snaps are the difference between 1-0 and 0-1. And yet, for all the X's and O's, we keep coming back to that first human moment. So let's zoom in on psychology, because that might explain more than any coach's tape ever could. Football is a structured chaos. You're hyped from the national anthem, the fireworks, the buildup. For the Eagles, you've got the champions celebration energy humming in the background. For the Cowboys, you're walking into that to crash the party. Voices are loud, mouth guards in and out, your heart rate's a drum solo. Two competitors end up nose to nose. Maybe Dak's just clearing his mouth. Maybe Carter thinks it's a targeted move. Trash talk doesn't help. It never does in that exact second. Carter makes a choice he regrets. He gets tossed. In the locker room later, he owns it. That matters. Public accountability is rare in professional sports because pride is undefeated. Dak, calm, composed, says he wasn't trying to spit on anyone. That matters too. He diffuses, not detonates. If you've never played in that kind of atmosphere, it's easy to say, just don't do it. And that's true. But to understand how it happens, you need to remember how thin the line is between intensity and impulse. That first minute of a rivalry game is basically a controlled explosion. The best players live on the edge of control every Sunday. Sometimes they wobble and step over, and when you do, the rule book is waiting. So let's talk rules, because a lot of fans ask, did the refs really have to eject him that fast? Short answer, yes. Non-football act. Sounds wonky, but it's the key phrase. Things like punching, kicking, and spitting land here. They're not part of the game. They're outside it. And the league has been crystal clear over the last few seasons. Zero tolerance. You do it, you're done. Officials don't need a caucus, a replay, or a vibe check. If an official observes spitting on an opponent, it's disqualifiable. That's exactly what the crew chief explained afterward. It's not about who started what or whether someone meant to spit first. It's the act itself. And yes, this standard is part of a broader push. The NFL is trying to manage optics, clean up extracurriculars, and show they're serious about sportsmanship. You might roll your eyes at that word, but the league uses it, and crews are graded on enforcing it. That's the climate. That's the call. If you're Philly, the refs didn't beat you. Your own player put the decision in their hands. If you're Dallas, you love the precedent, protect the quarterback, draw the line bright. So what now? Typically, spitting draws a fine. Suspension? Possible, but historically less common unless there's a pattern or the league wants to plant a flag. Carter's apology helps his case. The fact this happened 6 seconds into the season on national television may push the league to go a touch heavier just to send a message. A lot rides on how the internal review frames intent and provocation. Even if they privately believe Dak's pre-spit was innocent, they'll still bring it up because context matters when you're writing checks and deciding games. Inside Philly's facility, the conversation is two-sided. Publicly, you back your guy's apology and call it a teachable moment. Privately, you hammer the standard. Championship teams don't hand over leverage on emotion. Teammates may joke to cut tension because that's how players move on, but the D-line room knows every snap matters in this league, and they lost a night's worth for nothing. Inside Dallas, this becomes a rally banner. They targeted our quarterback, and we stayed poised. Whether that's fair or not doesn't matter in a locker room. What matters is how the story fuels the next practice. Expect offensive linemen to talk even more about finishing blocks, about establishing tone early in rematches. Expect Dak to keep the temperature low publicly, that's his brand, and privately remind everyone that composure gets you calls. But you want the real drama? It's not week one, it's the rematch. Circle it, the cameras will. You script your first series to say, we don't need any extracurriculars to win. Run the ball with intent, move the pocket, hit a quick hitter to calm the crowd. On defense, you show discipline, late hits, post-whistle grabs gone, and you let Carter hunt between the whistles. Expect a mic'd up spotlight on him. He knows it, the line coach knows it, the league office knows it. Every shove will be watched twice. If he dominates clean, the entire story flips in a night. You make the middle of the pocket the focal point, double early, make Carter feel bodies on every snap. If the refs are hypersensitive to post-play stuff, and they will be, you keep your guys' hands down and let the officials smother any hint of trouble. Offensively, get the ball out, quick game early to prevent a momentum sack that wakes up the crowd. The coaches will say no bulletin board material, but players are human. Someone on either side will crack a joke at media availability, it'll trend, and the league will quietly remind both PR staffs, let's keep this about football. Still with me? Good. Because there's a broader question here. What do we do with intent when slow motion can make an accident look like a choice? We all love slow motion. It turns chaos into storyboards. But here's the trap. Slow-mo invents intent. It stretches milliseconds into moments and brain chemistry into courtroom exhibits. That's why every replay of Dak's pre-spit looked decisive to some and harmless to others. It's why Carter's action felt surgical when, in real speed, it probably unfolded in a blur. So how do we judge? We don't. Or at least we do it humbly. We take what the principal actor said. Dak didn't mean to spit on him. Carter accepts blame for his response. And we anchor to the rule everyone agreed on before the game: spitting on an opponent gets you tossed. Then we let the NFL office do its job. And if you're here to argue anyway, that's what the comments are for. Sound off. But before you do, listen to the last piece, because this one is for the people who love this rivalry like oxygen. If you made a list of ways a Cowboys-Eagles chapter could open, a blocked punt, a pick six, a strip sack, you probably don't pencil in one of the best young defenders in the league gets ejected for spitting on the franchise quarterback. It reads like a writer's room pitch that gets laughed out the door. And yet, it happened, which means the next months are going to be played under a neon sign: composure. Some rivalries are about scheme, some are about stars. This one just became about poise. Which quarterback can steady the huddle in the storm? Which defensive leader can throttle back a half second before the whistle? Which coach can sell restraint not as softness, but as discipline, as a winning edge? Those are the questions we'll keep asking, and the answers will show up on the scoreboard. One last thing, if you think the league won't use this in rookie seminars for the next 5 years, you're kidding yourself. The NFL looks at moments like this not just as penalties, but as lessons. They package the clip, they add the ref's explanation, non-football act, they include Carter's apology, they insert Dak's wasn't trying to spit on him. The takeaway they want rookies to internalize is clear. Everyone's watching from a dozen angles with the power to clip, crop, and loop a mistake forever. The cost isn't just a fine, it's momentum, reputation, and a dozen play calls that never happen because you're in a tunnel taking off your pads. If you've ever wondered why the league sometimes overcorrects on discipline, this is why. The brand needs clean starts. They didn't get one here. Expect a memo, expect a fine, and expect coaches everywhere to quote it in their team meetings. Rehook. All that said, the game is still the game, and the next snap will always be louder than the last headline. Here's my final read. Carter did something you can't do. He owned it. That matters. Dak's explanation, no intent, makes sense for anyone who's ever spat on a field or a court without thinking. The refs enforced the letter of the law. That's their job. The Eagles overcame it. The Cowboys left plays out there, and the rivalry just got injected with a plot line no one asked for, but everyone will remember. Now I want to hear you. Was the ejection enough, or should there be a suspension? Do you believe Dak's explanation? Do you buy any of the rumors, off-season jabs, warm-up trash talk, a personal connection, or do you think this was nothing more than a misread in a pressure cooker? Drop your take below, and if you made it this far, you're my people. Hit like, smash subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the rematch breakdown the moment it happens. What happened? Carter spit on Dak after kickoff, was ejected immediately for a non-football act. What was said? Carter apologized. Dak said he wasn't trying to spit on Carter. What changed? Eagles lost a star before snap one, still pulled out a 24-20 win. Cowboys couldn't convert late. Fine at minimum, possible suspension reviewed by the league. A rematch with the temperature set to boil. Comment your take and be here for the next chapter. You've been watching Pigskin Panic, where we don't just report a score, we tell the story around it. If you want more deep dives like this, film breakdowns, player profiles, and yes, the messy human stuff that decides games, this is your spot. Appreciate you for hanging out. Be kind in the comments. Argue hard but fair. I'll see you in the next one.